Good day all. It is 26 minutes past 6 p.m. on what we're told is the 14th of August 2024. This is my channel, the Self Preservation Society, and I'm Basil, broadcasting Truth and Therapy, BBTT, and I use the talking stick. And if you're watching anywhere or listening anywhere other than my main BitChute channel, there is a link to it below in the description box where all of my work is, should you wish to peruse it. And if you do and it resonates, I ask you, as I ask you with this one, to share it wherever you can. Anyway, the title of this upload is Petrified World, Petrified People. I'm going to start off philosophising over that, and then we're going to talk about briefly starforts and tunnels. But, you know, I sit and look at my computer and I observe, watch what's going on, this, that, and the other. And look at that meme, top right, 4 types of people you meet in your life. The people who try to wake up the slaves, the slave masters, the people who have no idea they're slaves, and the people who love being slaves. I think that's a brilliant meme. I'm seeing more stuff and more ideology about the refugees. And for those of you who don't know, my abode is in Dover, Kent. I have views across the channel. Got Shakespeare Cliff to my right as I look out my window, and views across the channel to France, which incidentally used to be connected to Britain, or Britain used to be connected to France, what we now know as these 2 separate countries. And we only identify them as separate countries because our masters told us to do so. Remember that. Just remember that. 11,500 years ago or so, you know, the oceans of the world were up to 400 feet lower than they are now. Just remember that. However, I see these boats coming across, and, you know, if you looked at I don't know if I'll put it in this one, that Willie Nelson quote, the refugee is not your enemy. The one who made him a refugee is your enemy. And absolutely brilliant quote by Willie Nelson. Absolutely brilliant quote. But still, on this land where I live, people are going out with their Union flags. Often they call them Union Jacks, but they're not. It's only a Union Jack when it's on a Jack mask. Other than that, it's the flag of the Union, representing the ties between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. So there's a bit of knowledge for you. It's a Union flag, unless it's on a Jack mask, and then the exact same flag is called a Union Jack. Anyway, I digress. But just dropping a little truth bomb in there for you. But on that Union flag is a red cross, and that depicts the St. George's flag, or the English flag. St. George. Who made him a bloody saint? What did he do to deserve becoming a saint? Why does he need that label of a saint anyway? Ask yourself these questions. I was seeing another post today in a Facebook group where some Australian woman was talking about Anzac Day, Australia Day, Easter Day, this, that and the other, all these other days. They're ours. Nobody can take them away from us. They're not yours. They were given to you by your masters. Just the same as your flag was given to you by your masters. And again, I quote to you the greatest quote I've ever heard by a living man in my lifetime, Thomas Sheridan: "Flags are the dusters given to us by our masters to polish their mansions." I'm at Dover. There's a bit of sea between me and France, and somewhere across that, if you want to cross a certain, part, when you cross a certain part of it, you have to show a passport. You're passing between two ports. On Earth. On Earth. There's only one world, but we live in different ones. Mark Knopfler. Brothers in Arms. Somebody put a post up today about the refugees, and I put that Willie Nelson quote up, and somebody jumped down my neck and said to me, "Wrong, taking our jobs, this, that, and that." That's all we ever do as human beings, is take. Because we're dancing to the tune of our masters. Our ancestors went out there and took lands that didn't belong to them to harvest the resources of those lands in order to make a few richer. And I answered this bloke by saying there's only 2% difference in our DNA between all the humans on the earth, but you'd rather fight that than you would the 1% that control you. These people are supposed to be awake. You're not awake. And don't imagine for 1 minute you are. You're not awake if you're dancing to your master's tune and seeing yourself, whether you're black, white, yellow, red, gay, straight, or whatever, seeing yourself better than another human being with a different skin colour, eye colour, hair colour, sexual orientation, this, that and the other. That's another thing that fucking gripes me. You can't see how you're being played. Most on Facebook will get up in arms about a bloke wearing women's clothes or in some sort of drag, this, that and the other. The same people will sit and watch two women, pleasuring each other quite happily. Oh dear, Philistines casting out the hypocrites, because that's what I'm doing. And I'm not talking down to you, I'm trying to waken you up. Doesn't matter what a person does. Whether they're black, white, yellow, red, gay, straight. Doesn't matter what a person does. What does matter, if in doing what they do, they are causing harm, loss or injury to another. That's what matters. That's all that matters, nothing else. So if a bloke is dressed in drag and showing his bits off in a library reading to children, that is totally and utterly wrong. If a woman, like happened 20, 30 years ago, I never forget this, down the south coast here in the UK, she worked in a nursery school and she was interfering with all the children and she went to jail for it. That's wrong. That's wrong. But harvesting the energy, frequency and vibration of another in order to profit off them, in whichever form it's done, is wrong. But your masters do that to you, and they get you hating your fellow, the only people that you can join up with to save you from your masters, and that's your fellow humans. They get you fighting each other. They're coming over here and taking your houses, your benefits, this, that and the other. Where did we get the money in England to build all these houses? Where did we get the money after the Second World War to build all those council houses? Don't build council houses anymore. Where did we get the money to build them? We borrowed the money off the people we borrowed money off to fight their war for them against Hitler. The 1%. Where did they get their money from? They had our forefathers going out raping and pillaging other lands for their natural resources and then selling it back to us. And you swallow all this shit. You know, you think that makes you better than a black man or a yellow man, a white man, a red man. You think it makes you better than somebody else. And they laugh at you. You know, you're petrified. You're absolutely petrified of your own power. And that's what it boils down to. And so somebody uses your power and you get it back in the form of your ego and your mind. That's how they use it against you. That's how they use it against you. It's freaking brilliant. Surely I'm not the only one that can see this. I'll never see it years and years ago, but it's part of my journey. And I'm not petrified anymore. I'm not petrified anymore. I'm not in fear of anything. I seek to become aware. And I'm sharing that awareness with you because it's a conscious awareness. I do it from the heart. It's a conscious awareness to empower, enlighten and enable you as to how you and your forefathers have been played and how you will continue to be played by those that mentally, emotionally, physically and materially enslave you. And instead of fighting them, the 1%, and it ain't even 1%, what you do, you support them in their endeavours and dance to their tune and do their dirty work for them by injecting your fellow human beings with mRNA and all different other things. Elon Musk isn't going to go around the world and stick a chip in your brain. We're going to do it for him. We're going to do it for him. Because we're petrified of our own power. And that's the truth. And just like those petrified trees around the world and the petrified remains of humans, whatever, that you see as pretty rocks or whatever, I used to. Because I was petrified. And I was walking in shadows, in darkness, at the behest of my masters. But then I started to see. You can't see when you're blind. You can feel when you're blind. My mate Sarah, she's blind. She can see by feeling. And mind you, I digress a bit here. When she come up to witness me in the cabinet, my physical mediumship and whatever, I said to her, "No clairvoyance, Sarah." She said, "Barry, I'm blind. I can't see." I said, "You'll see." I said, "But please do not use clairvoyance because it has a detrimental effect on me while I'm doing this." And I'll never forget the excitement that she experienced when she did see. Not clairvoyantly, but she see. Anyway, I digress. But she was in fear to start with. And then that fear subsided. Only the blind can't see. And you don't need eyes to feel. That's the true vision. Feeling, energy, frequency and vibration. But you're petrified of your own, much less anyone else's. You're scared of your own, and so this masculine ego and masculine mind comes into play, you know, keeping yourself in darkness and following the program, the rhetoric that the matrix, the false matrix is. Doing the work of your masters, killing your fellow men. Bill Gates might have gone and injected a few in his time. Plenty of evidence of that. Seeing him do that in Africa and whatever. Got kicked out of India, didn't he? Kicked out of somewhere. But that never lasted long. We all, individually and collectively, acquiesce. We all get assimilated because we're too petrified of our own power, and so we acquiesce and get assimilated. Not me. I am considered by many, in the way that I see and I speak, to be abnormal. And that's because I don't dance to the tune that they dance to. And neither should you. Neither should you. And that's why I do what I do here, to empower, enlighten and enable you to step outside of your fear. Stop being in fear of your fellow human being. Rise up by all means. If their words, deeds and actions cause harm, loss or injury to another. But don't be scared of them just because they're coming over in a boat. Because there are no borders on the earth, only those that you believe in, that your masters told you are there. To keep you separate from your fellow human being because of his different skin colour, hair colour, eye colour, sexual orientation, religious persuasion, political persuasion, sporting allegiance, this, that and the other. So petrified. That is the overwhelming energy that pervades this third dimensional reality. Is fear. They keep you in fear that you won't have enough. And it keeps you fighting for more of what you don't fucking need. It's brilliant. And they tell you somebody's going to come and take more of what you don't really need anyway from you. It's brilliant. And it all boils down to this belief in money. Money only exists because of your belief in it. And if you have £2 notes and somebody's only got one, you think you're richer than them. It's a brilliant system. It's a brilliant system. and you go around chasing it because you're petrified of not having enough, or you're petrified of death. You know, I've often said death is the biggest lie told to the human race. You cannot die for the life of you. You can't die for the life of you. You can only change. And the best place to change is here. I really don't want to come back here when this incarnation is finished. But this is what I've learnt, certainly over the last 40 years, if not the last 63 and a half years. Is that this is the best place to change. This is where change is at its most powerful, in this very restrictive, prison-like, third-dimensional reality. The changes that we can achieve here will permeate far out into the universe, in all different dimensions. But equally, the fear that we feel and experience here goes far out into the universe and all different dimensions. This is the place to change. And if things don't change, they stay as they are. Christine Cuenca. And they will stay as they are. Might be a different timeline or whatever. Might be a different time, but it'd be the same shit, different day. And when you study the past, look at the past with the real lies, you can see how we're just replicating that other civilizations have done in the past. I recently went up to a new cafe at what used to be the ball still behind me, the Citadel. And when I went up there, I walked in there, and on the wall was an aerial view of the Citadel. And it quite clearly shows a star fall. If you have a look in the description box below, there's a link to Karen and Mickey's YouTube thing, that YouTube channel, where they done a thing. This is where I first started talking to Karen. The Martello Towers along the south coast, and when they got to Dover, they showed an aerial view of the heights, the eastern heights and the western heights, and I'd never seen it before. But as soon as I see it, I see the starfall. And on the wall in this cafe up at the Citadel, and if you can, strongly urge you to go up there, have a look, just have a cup of tea. Gavin and Sue run the cafe. Tell them Baz sent you. And there's this picture of an aerial view, and anyway, Gavin was serving me us, and I pointed to that picture and I said, "Do you see what I see?" And straight away he said, "A starfall." I said, "Yeah." "Well done, Gavin." I said, "I'm not being, don't take it the wrong way, but you've impressed me, because he see it." And anyway, I had a chance to meet the owner on Tuesday, and the owner's mum. And I went over, the owner was in the company of two people. They was obviously having a meeting about something, but I went and interjected politely, and he spoke to me about something. He said, I said to him, quite apart from anything else, I said, "Do you know what you brought here?" He said, "Yeah, Starfall." I initially went to talk to him about a spiral staircase that's there. Gavin, my original visit, Gavin said they were looking for a spiral staircase. Well, I knew where it was. I knew where one was anyway. because 40 odd years ago, maybe longer, me and my uncle, going through the moats, went through a hole in the wall when it was still a ball store, went through some of the tunnels and rooms and found ourselves at this spiral staircase, went up it and covered by a manhole or something, and we could hear the screws and the cons up above talking, and everything, and walking over. So that was my initial contact with him. Anyway, the owner called his mum, asked his mum to come and have a talk to us, and spoke about quite a few other things as well. And it really interesting talking to his mum. Very nice lady, and looking forward to doing so again. But I'm going up there this weekend. They've got a fashion show up there. I'm not going up for the fashion show. I'm going up to have access inside the Citadel, just to get a feel for the place in a way that I've never been able to do in my 63 years. So I'm looking forward to that. But I've been thinking about these star thoughts, and me and his mum sat and spoke about the tunnels, this, that and the other. And she asked me what I thought they were for. I said, well, I think it's my awareness that Tesla was right. I said, and they link with the pyramids and other such structures, ancient megalithic structures around the world. They might have been built at a later date, but to capitalise and enhance upon what was already there. And the tunnels, I've just learnt this week that there's tunnels in Iraq that go off in different, Iran rather, is it Iraq or Iran? Can't remember. But they go off in different directions for hundreds, thousands of miles. We know about the tunnels in America under Chicago. We know about the catacombs in France, this, that and the other, and we know about the tunnel that runs from Scotland to Turkey and loads of others. I love learning about this. But I have this theory. There's lots of different theories about people living underground. Look at the Hopi and the Ant people. But I have this theory that these tunnels, more have yet to be discovered, serve as arteries in some way, shape or form to channel the energy, the natural energy of the earth round to different points and to possibly balance it out. Yes, you've got places like Derrinculia and that, which were there or created for what appears to be different reasons. But I've been looking at these other tunnels and, that go all over the earth. Pine Gap in Australia, the deep underground military bunkers in America. We come to build and capitalise on what's already there, reinvent it, repurpose it, this, that and the other. And all of it boils down to harvesting the energy, frequency and vibration of the earth and those that inhabit the earth. And when you understand that, you'll stop giving your energy away to your masters so they can control you. You'll stand in your own power, recognise that there are no borders in your mind. You're free to transcend what you perceive to be the limitations of your mind. There's no borders on earth, only those that your masters say are there. When you're ready to do all that, then and only then will things change. But until that day happens, humanity will be petrified, scared of its own shadow, scared of its own power. And so you give it away in your fear and ignorance to those that control you, and you do their dirty work for them by by hating your fellow human being, by injecting your fellow human being, by seeking to control your fellow human being. You're doing it all. They only tell you what to do, and you, the human being, we, the human being, are, as Mark Passio put, order followers. We're all order followers. Look up Mark's presentation on order followers. Look up his presentation from Philadelphia 10, 12, 14 years ago, the Natural Law Seminar. Don't stop learning. Stop believing. Don't stop learning. And stop being petrified in fear and in ignorance. This message resonates. Share the message. Don't share me. Share the message. I don't want to become famous. I want the truth to become famous. And I want you to have a comprehension and understanding of what true freedom is. Palamia, thank you. In Lakesh, in you I see another me. Mitakwe o Yasin. We are all related, we are all relatives. But I tell you, as I always tell you, black, white, yellow, red, gay, straight, conservative, Labour, socialist, communist, Democrat, Republican, whatever label you give yourself, we're all connected. When we wake up to that and realise the sacredness of that connection, we may be able to change not only ourselves, but everything else.